a good picture.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hey guys, it is great to see you again. Glad you're back for another episode of SAAB Talk Live. We're here almost every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on Facebook and on YouTube, telling SAAB stories and just content especially for the SAAB community. My name's Lee Kelso.
My name's Mark Romisher, and on tonight's show, we have a gentleman by the name of John Ross from the WatchJRGO YouTube channel, and he's going to be telling us about his 9.5 Aero, which he's put some parts replacement effort into, as well as some detail work and just some general maintenance, and he's going to share some stories with us, and hopefully we'll learn more about that SAAB ownership.
Yeah, John Ross has done, I think, about 8 different videos on this car, and the great thing about it is over 500,000 views introducing people to, the SAAB community, and let's see how this whole thing started.
9.5 Aero, and I'll trade you for this. As is. I got a few details about this SAAB. I've heard it's been sitting for years. It probably won't start, so I grabbed my jump pack and the scanner, and there's a bunch of extra parts with it. This is Tyler, and this is the 2002 9.5 Aero. I believe in you, SAAB. Oh, so close. That center ignition. So cool. All right, now for the important part. Yep, I want it. That's all I needed to know. Entering the test tunnel. Whoa! Man, that thing's good. These are just such cool cars. Here's your normal gauges. And here's your gauges in night mode. Oh, the SAAB is so cool. You can shut off every gauge but the speedometer. I mean, there's just so many crazy things in this car. And it's like an enthusiast dream car because everything is insanely over-engineered or weird or not symmetrical. I mean, everything about this is just perfect for a car guy.
Well, and here is the car guy. Let's connect with John Ross himself. Hey, JR, good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Live from Wichita, out doing, what are you doing you're in your Cayenne, is that right?
Yeah, out Christmas shopping.
That's great.
It's that live here.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, so thanks for featuring that SAAB and introducing people to this brand. So just the deal came along and that's what drew you to the 9.5?
Yeah, pretty much. That Tyler reached out to me when I listed that XB for sale and said, I'll trade you straight across for the SAAB that I have because he needed a car that could haul kids around, stuff like that. And I was like, let's make a deal. So I took it straight over to his house and we traded like right then.
Had you had any background with SAAB at all? Did you ever driven one, seen one, own one? Well, you've seen them, but did you ever own one or driven
one? Seen a few, didn't really know anything about the car. So yeah, that was it. That was my first SAAB experience.
Man, you went and you got pretty deep. You guys, you've done quite a bit of work on that car.
Yeah, but I kind of just jump into every project like that.
Yeah, you do.
I don't need to know much about it going into it. It's just a car. It's all nuts and bolts, so I just go for it.
And I also heard that you had actually jumped in and started getting parts like almost off the bat when you first got the Saab. I know you had a conversation with Mr. Matt Nicklay over ESAB parts, and you got a good idea of what some of the initial problems you're going to run into. So I'm that hopefully the Saab community definitely jumped in and helped you get some educational value on what to do as far as getting that maintenance up to par.
Oh yeah. So after like the first video, all the comments were actually like really relevant and on point, and they pretty much explain like every single problem that the 9.5 has with a solution for everything. And I would say with the second day I owned it or something, Matt emailed me and said call me, and I called him, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours and went through every single problem that a 9.5 has, and then put together like a list of everything my 9.5 would need to be correct again. And he answered all my questions, and while I was on the phone with him, I was in there fixing things and making the video. And I'd say by the end of the first week with that Saab, it was a lot better than it was when I picked it up. That's for sure.
So you're talking there about Matt Nicklay, the one of the founders of ESAB Parts, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Boy, it's great to have him and all his support behind you for that. No doubt about that.
Yes. I mean, everything I'd say, like, this doesn't seem to be right, or this isn't working. And he'd be like, well, the trunk wiring, how it always breaks on 9.5s. He was like, go look through that umbilical into the trunk, and like the problem's going to be in there. And, while I'm on the phone with him, I found broken wires.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I loved how you had that Milwaukee cordless soldering iron just to repair those wires too. I thought that was freaking awesome. Man, you got the coolest tools to work on your car too.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite tools for sure. I use that Milwaukee soldering iron all the time. It's just so nice to not have to have a cord that you're fighting when you're trying to solder,
Yeah.
It just kind of frees you up and lets you get to work.
Okay, so you got this car, what, about a year or so ago?
It's been over 2 years, because
the
battery in it was dated for like early 19.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah.
And if you guys watch the channel, you know that JR's just moved to a pretty snazzy new shop. But this car started back in another workspace, and so let's just drop back in time for another clip of JR working on this Saab.
I'm so pumped about this, and we're gonna do a first start. But I just got off the phone with ESAB Parts, and I gotta say the Saab community is awesome. There's so many emails in my inbox right now from people saying that they have like 9.5 parts cars and stuff like that, offering me all kinds of stuff. But I think we're gonna have this thing like very, very well sorted soon. Go time! Are we good? Yeah! I think everything's all right.
Yeah, it kind of turned out to be all right. That was nice. What had you done that evening before you got started?
Right before I started at that time, I think was the DIC replacement, the coil replacement. And I think maybe we did PCV6 or one of the PCV updates on that thing too. It's been a long time actually, but there was quite a bit of stuff that got fixed that night. So we were knocking it out.
Yeah, you were. Hey, Mark, have you done one of those PVC updates on your car?
I have, and as soon as he said the magic three-letter word, I knew exactly the experience he was going to have. Especially when I was watching this. Oh yeah, I saw him underneath the car on the crawler and looking up past the catalytic converter, and I was like, "Yep, that's exactly the experience I had to go through." And I have to admit that it's kind of fun seeing someone else go through the same stuff. So it's nice being able to share the joy, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's not too bad of a job. It takes a little time, but you get it done in maybe an hour total, something like that.
Mm-hmm. You've done a lot of other stuff on this car, so we're going to watch your work here. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you've done.
Oh, the problem with buying a car and working on it really hard for 1 week and then parking it for 2 years and working on it really hard for 1 week is you don't remember any of it.
Yeah,
is this
okay.
a valve cover gasket here? It must be.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing the valve cover gasket. And you kind of experience what I've experienced with that is, and it's really a pretty simple job until you turn the thing over and try to get it seated back in place and that damn gasket keeps falling out.
Hmm.
What's funny is it's leaking.
It's leaking now?
It has like,
No.
yeah, it was leaking when I pulled it back out of storage. But then again, that rubber might have moved around and shrank, and it sat for 2 years, so it's
Yeah.
all brand new. But I didn't remember if I had done it or not, and I noticed it was leaking when I pulled it back out of storage. Maybe it just needs driven.
Yeah,
So
these cars don't
fun
like to
tip.
sit.
Absolutely, no
So
car likes
fun
to
tip.
sit.
If you do happen to replace that gasket again before you depart with the vehicle, one tip is to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive in the channel where the gasket fits, and that'll keep it from falling out. So I think
For sure.
I had a friend recommend something like a little spray adhesive, something like that. But that one little extra step will help you immensely in trying to get that new valve cover gasket on there.
Yeah, no doubt. A little Super 77.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, got a question coming in here. What is your favorite thing about the 9.5, JR?
Um, I honestly think the interior, it's got great power, and it drives, well. As soon as it's out on the road, it has like all of the passing power that you expect. It's kind of effortless. But I really think my favorite thing is the interior night panel, the airplane eyeball light, just kind of how quirky the interior is. But at the same time, it's not like pointlessly quirky. It actually all works. So that's probably why I like that 9.5 the most. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the night panel thing is kind of a gimmicky deal, but it's kind of fun.
It is, but you know what? It's 2021, and every car is nothing but screens. And you get out on the highway at night, and after 2-3 hours of driving, something like that, you're like, man, I am so annoyed at the screens. And also, being 2021, we now have screen off buttons right beside them all because everybody
Right.
complained about the same thing. But that night panel was like the precursor to that, and it's really good. When that long night drive, hit the button, all the lights disappear. It's kind of awesome.
So, what was the most difficult job you've done with this car?
Um, I don't think any of it was difficult, which is something that I appreciate when I'm working on a car.
Hmm.
Um, the engine actually fits in the engine bay. It's not crammed in there, so everything's pretty accessible. It needs that center accessory belt idler delete. I think that looks like a bit of a nightmare.
Hmm.
Um, although I may have already done it, but I have another accessory belt sitting there, which is why I thought it might need deleted. Um, that's the only thing that seems like it's going to be hard to do. Everything else has been pretty reasonable.
Yeah, you did. You did the subframe bushing change. So you changed. I watched you change the engine mounts on this thing, and that looked pretty easy.
Engine
And-
mounts were easy for sure, and subframe bushings didn't end up being too bad. As long as you have a good set of tools, I mean, you're kind of cheating when you have like every tool, and it makes it pretty easy. But
Yeah.
it's still not a huge deal. As long as you have a sawzall and a way to drive those bolts in there, you're probably set.
So, I'm going
Hey,
to
I think before
roll
we
some
move
video
on, we'll just
here.
go ahead and cut this one.
Hang on a second. Bring the audio down for you. So here you are using a sawzall to remove that subframe bushing, and then Mark, you've done this job. You said you kind of cheated in the process.
I think that job
guys hear me?
was really
Sorry, I'm having a little
me.
technical difficulties.
We got you.
Oh,
Go ahead, JR.
I think that job was really easy for me as well because the bushings were so bad that the rubber literally fell out of all 6 of them. So it was just completely toast. It was hanging in there, by just the mechanical connection to the bolt. Like the bushings were doing nothing.
Yeah, so we see you putting those polyurethane bushings back in. And Mark, you've done this job, right?
Oh, absolutely. I actually had a different experience because I actually had the subframe off the vehicle, and we tried doing this on the workbench. And I have to say that the method of leaving it on the car and just using the frame itself to push the bushings in is so much easier. That's the way to do it.
Oh yeah, so much easier, and it has a satisfying pop when they go in here.
Boink, and there it goes. It
Absolutely.
just popped right in. We just saw it there. Good timing on that one.
Yep.
So the purpose of doing that was to end that shake, right? That shake at idle.
Yeah, it had quite a bit of idle vibration, and that helped it out like a ton. So it's much better now.
Awesome. Hey,
It was
Saunders
probably
is
my main
at.
complaint when I'd pull up to a stoplight and the whole thing would be shaking. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So Saunders is asking, have you ever been pulled over because you didn't realize you were going so fast?
I feel like when I get pulled over, I know how fast I was going almost every time.
Well, you guys got out on the road and really seemed to enjoy driving this car. And this is after the subframe bushing change. You and Josh jumped out there, and let's take a look at that.
Yeah. It's so quick. 70, 80, 85, 90, Mexico. You also have to love the turbo gauge on this thing. It just has green, yellow, red. And we were in red while we were.
Oh, I see.
When you're making boost, you're just in the red. Why is it so fun to drive?
It is a fun car.
Man, Josh didn't believe in SAABs.
I didn't. I got in and I said, impress me. Okay, I'm impressed. It's
I
like a
love this.
4-cylinder with more torque.
It is.
It's just a torquey 4-cylinder.
And somehow the power delivery, like first the throttle pedal is all right. It does exactly what you want.
Yeah.
The steering inputs are exactly what you want. It's got a nice system. It's got heated seats everywhere. It's a good car. So
You know, that's a great endorsement for the brand and for that car.
yeah, it's a good car.
So people are asking about the Mexico reference. What's that all about?
Oh, all street races technically take place in Mexico for for reasons.
Yeah.
So once the car's going pretty fast, you don't want to talk about the speed anymore for the most part.
Got it. So what's your plans for this car? What's going to happen?
I do think I'm going to sell it soon because I'm trying to change almost all of the cars to being quite a bit newer since I'm going pretty big on my Turo car thing. And, cars have to be under 130,000 miles, which the Saab's like 140 or something. It's in the 130s. And they also have to be newer than 2011. So I'm just kind of buying a lot of newer cars, and the Saab hasn't been driven in like 2 years. I'd rather go to somebody that's going to drive it all the time. I have a lot of cars that don't get driven, so those ones need to sell so that they're being driven again.
Tell me a little more about this Turo thing. How is that working out? I've seen a couple of your vids where you said I can't remember which car it is. You got some little cheap Econo box that's killing it, and then some of the other cars aren't doing so well.
Oh yeah, I bought a Dodge Dart, and it's
A Dart,
everybody
yeah.
wants to rent a Dodge Dart. I don't know why, but I've got a few cars on there. I've got the Cayenne, a Durango, a Fiat 500, and the Dart. And the Fiat and the Dart go out a lot, and the others really don't. So I think I'm going to buy a bunch more cheap 2011, 2012 cars, and I think they'll do really well.
I'm surprised the Cayenne hasn't gone out more.
You would think that's what people want to rent because
Yeah.
it has a Porsche badge on it, even if it's a base model. But for some reason they don't, and I don't mind it at all because it's really fun to drive.
Good for you. Hey, somebody over on Facebook is asking, have you replaced the HVAC blend door shaft, and just how tough was that job?
Yeah, I did. That was in like 2 or 3 videos ago, and that's actually, it might be easier than the cabin air filter. They're really kind of the same job, right? Because you got to pull everything out. But yeah, they were broken on both sides, driver and passenger on my 9.5. And we had who makes that? I think it's a Pro Parts Sweden part.
Mm-hmm.
So we used those from ESAB parts to put the metal blend door arms on there, and it should be good to go now. I mean, it ran through
It's
the
awesome.
self-test, so yeah.
Giorgio on YouTube is asking, based on the 9.5, would you consider another Saab for a future project?
I mean, obviously, I'd be down to do more Saab stuff. 9.3, not the older Saabs, because that's not really I like modern vehicles with good fuel injection and OBD2. It's like my favorite place to be working. But I would do 9.3 Aero. Obviously, we have a Trailblazer SS in the shop right now, which is a 9.7X Aero.
Yes.
But yeah, and my Camaro, my 67 Camaro is powered by a LS2 that came out of a 9.7X Aero as well.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Seth is asking,
That's awesome.
how would you compare the 9.5 to something similar or equivalent, a 5 Series, like an E350, anything like that? Kind of match those up.
The 5 Series is one of my favorite cars of all time, honestly. It just kind of always does everything right, no matter what generation it is. And I would say they're close. I don't know if there's any big differences. They're just both really good drivers with I'd say a reasonably heavy steering that's still responsive, not like heavy for no reason, and they kind of drive close to the same. The Saab's a little lighter on its feet and might have a little bit of turbo lag because obviously most of the 5 Series, the older 5 Series, were all in A. Both really good cars. And, E-Class Mercedes is also a little 5 Series. Mercedes always has light steering and doesn't try to be sporty. I think the Saab 9.5 Aero and a good 5 Series with a V8 is sporty. So, yeah, that's probably my comparison there. I love them both. That's the best thing to say.
I did want to make a suggestion if you mentioned you're going to be using a Saab for your future project. If you happen to go to a 9.3, that's a newer one like you'd mentioned, and I would suggest anywhere between a 2006 to 2009 Saab 9.3 Aero. Those particular vehicles had the V6. Whether it comes in a sedan, wagon, or convertible, they're all fun cars. But I would suggest the V6 because a turbocharged V6 is fun, A, and B, there is tons of things you can get for those cars. I mean, upgraded brake suspension, ignition, turbo, all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely, if you have an opportunity to make that a future project, definitely consider a 9.3 in those model years.
Yeah, definitely will.
Hey, so JR,
it seems like all the convertible tops are always cut open on 9.3s. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, if you own a convertible, you just count on replacing the top sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about the YouTube life. So, I've seen you called one of the hardest working guys on YouTube. You post almost every day, it seems.
Yeah, I try not to ever miss. Some days I just don't. Like today, we worked on the car crusher all day, and the video's not long enough, so I'm trying to figure out what to do because it still should have been a standalone video. But pretty much every day I go work on a car, work on something, and get home and make a video. So I've kind of been doing that for 3 years or so.
Yeah, and are sponsors knocking on your door now? How is that working?
I don't know about knocking on my door. Usually I kind of go after the ones I want because they're companies I want to work with. And some people won't ever sponsor anybody. Like Milwaukee doesn't actually sponsor any YouTubers, but sometimes Milwaukee sends out samples and they want to be very clear that it's not a sponsorship, but they'll randomly send one tool a year. I don't know. But I do have some great sponsors like Motul, Holley, just people with products that I love using. I pretty much put Holley EFI on every car I build with an LS in it. And honestly, a bunch of cars without LSs in them too. They all get Holley EFI because it's a great product. It's super easy to use. So I love working with them because it's just easy. And, BinPack helped me out with the lifts in the shop, all kinds of great companies I work with. And I don't know about I'm not getting a flood of emails asking them to send me stuff. But at the same time, it's not a big deal to reach out to companies and ask for the products that I want to represent anyway because I like them.
Yeah, I get that. Hey, on the screen, there's a question here. What's been your biggest surprise in Saab ownership? Yeah, how did the Saab surprise you?
It was just way better than I thought. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect it to be like a 5 Series level car, and it is. It's a really good car. So, and it's pretty quick. It's quicker than you would think. So, I guess that's the surprising part.
So, Mark, what are those 9.5s putting out? How many horsepower? I don't know.
So typically, you would be expecting, depending on year ranges, between 230 to 260 horsepower with all factory equipment. And obviously, to easily open up these cars, a downpipe, an intercooler, and a tune are arguably one of the 3 easiest mods you can do for these cars, and it opens them up. Easily with a tune and and those parts and pieces, you can get 300 horsepower plus. Although if you start pushing a lot past 300, there is a little bit of a danger about blowing holes in your pistons. So you kind of have to think about, well, how far do you want to go, and then how much you want to invest, because unfortunately, with my project, my leaking oil leak on the timing chain cover turned into an engine rebuild, which I added Wasner forged pistons, and now that's it's a project that's ongoing. So especially you can get a whole lot more out of these cars for sure, easily.
Okay.
But
hey, what's did I ask you here? What's going to happen with these cars? You don't keep them around long, right?
I try not to. The Saab's been one of the things I've owned for kind of the longest in the fleet. There's a few cars that have been there for more than like 2 or 3 years, but the Saab is definitely one of the oldest ones in the fleet, and it's because I did like the car a lot, and I wanted to drive it more and make more videos fixing it. So, we brought it back because it had been here forever. And, double-edged sword. I love the car, but also it's not being driven, so I should probably let it go. That's kind of where it ended up.
So, if somebody in the audience wants to own the JRGO Saab, what's your price? What are you going to do with it?
I think in one video where I said I was selling all the cars, I priced that one at $4,500, and I'd take $4,500 for it. So if somebody wants to shoot me that, then I guess we'll do it.
Okay, there you go. Well, you can reach him through his his YouTube channel, which is WatchJRGO. All right, guys, it's about time for us to wrap things up. Any last comments, Mark?
It's been a pleasure actually knowing someone else has been enjoying a 9.5 Saab for sure. The 900s and the 9.3s usually get more attention, so it's nice having a fellow 9.5er out there. But
absolutely,
I will say that in your videos, John, has been a pleasure to watch, and I really do appreciate you being able to share that experience with the Saab community as well. Man, I love seeing other people getting into it and getting excited about Saab, and that's, I may be biased, but that's just my feeling there. But bringing more people into the community and spreading the excitement, and possibly, if you have time in your schedule for 2022, maybe we'll see you at some of the Saab events in Pennsylvania, or possibly the Saab Owners Convention. Who knows?
That'd be cool. Yeah, thanks for watching too.
Hey, and let me echo that. Thanks for giving some attention to the brand. And it seems like more people are talking about Saabs. Jason Camisa from Haggerty just did that piece on the 900 and how it was kind of the Tesla of its day. And I've seen some more pieces that are going up. So it's kind of nice, and I really appreciate you helping to. 500,000 views on your videos about this car, man. That's a lot of good publicity. So we thank you for that.
Hey, people love to watch the Saab.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, JR, get busy. You got a little time left before the stores close. Finish up that Christmas shopping.
I'm on it.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, buddy, there you are.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, you got your Christmas shopping all wrapped up, bud?
Pretty much. Probably some a couple last minute things like anyone else has, but who doesn't have the last minute trip to the store to get some eggnog or cookies just for that last Christmas Eve party.
All right. Well, hey, we'll be back again every Thursday evening. Well, just about every Thursday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube and Facebook. We hope we'll see you for another edition of Saab Talk Live down the road. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Absolutely, and everyone have a happy holiday. Good stuff.